Hello, my friends. Welcome back to the campfire. I've been thinking about the hedge around Sleeping Beauty. I touched on it a little bit on Wednesday, and I want to touch on it now because stories have a funny little way of preserving really interesting little pieces of human psychology. And I find it really fascinating that in the other versions, the hedge, unlike in the Disney version, where Maleficent, sort of out of anger, strikes the ground and creates the thorns, in the older stories, the hedge isn't created by an evil force. It's actually sort of allowed or created to protect the sleeping kingdom until the right time. Which made me wonder how many of the walls in my own life started exactly the same way. And not because I hated anyone, not because I wanted separation, but because something inside me felt way too vulnerable to leave unprotected. Maybe that's also why I find Yeshua so fascinating. He rarely attacked people for having walls. He simply kept inviting them beyond them. He wasn't afraid to ask questions. Who do you say that I am? What do you want me to do for you? Why are you afraid? Who touched me? Even when someone asked him a question, he often answered with another one. I've started wondering if that wasn't avoidance. Maybe it was invitation, open-hearted invitation. The kind that is connected to a big smile and open arms, and we've all we've all had that friend, who's just has such good vibes. Always a big smile. Doesn't even have to be the life of the party, but just, like just that one person who just always makes you feel seen. An invitation to wake something up inside another person, to mirror back to them their wondrousness, their humanness. And he offered them himself, his presence, his connection, his communion, his wanting to be with them. And maybe he wasn't trying to hand people answers. Maybe he was helping them discover that the deepest answers had been quietly waiting within them all along. Which then makes me ponder metanoia, the Greek word most often translated as repent. What if it looks less like becoming a different person and more like slowly walking through the hedge? Not because the hedge is even evil, but because it had simply outlived its purpose. Maybe there was a time when those thorns really did protect us. Maybe they did help us survive. Maybe they helped give us language for mysteries we just couldn't yet explain. Maybe they even carried us through seasons when fear felt like the safest place to stand. But what if there comes a moment when the invitation isn't to keep building the bridge? It's to gently begin walking beyond it. One question at a time, one conversation at a time, one act of courage at a time. Not leaving love behind, but allowing love to become larger than fear. Not abandoning our faith, but allowing it to mature into something spacious enough to keep wondering. Maybe that's what growth has always looked like. Not certainty becoming stronger, but love becoming wider, curiosity becoming gentler, compassion becoming deeper. And perhaps that's what Yeshua was inviting people into all along. Not simply a new destination, but a new way of seeing, a new way of relating, a new way of being human. And maybe, just maybe, that's where true belonging begins. Not at the edge of the hedge, but on the other side of it.